Coming to paperback and e-readers, from the author of the critically acclaimed book The Man Crisis comes The Woman Crisis. Learn why so many women are becoming lost in their quest to have it all in The Woman Crisis. Pre-order your copy of The Woman Crisis on Amazon.com today. Last Friday, I was watching a Ringo TV reactions video where he was talking about a video on TikTok of a single mother who was upset that her son spent their rent money, $2,000, on a credit card on clothes from Shein and Fashion Nova to impress a girl he wanted to get with. Now, Ringo made his reaction on his classic video, but after watching the video myself, I wanted to bring in my own analysis on this video. And after you watch this video, I'll go into my own critical examination of this entire incident and all the drama around it. Now, this video is being played under fair use of U.S. copyright law of 1976, and is being used as part of my criticism and commentary of this TikTok video.
Y'all, I am so irritated right now. My son sit up here and literally took $2,000 off my fucking credit card. That's my rent money. That's everything. Every fucking thing. He gotta go. I just put him out. He's 16. I already done sit there and told him. I really feel like calling the fucking police. That's why I came live, so I can calm down. I really just feel like calling the police at this moment. You really took some money off my card to go sit up there and do some shit for a little ass girl? Y'all, I am so mad right now, man. I don't know what to do. My feelings hurt, every fucking thing. Like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. Like, I never thought that he'd sit up there and do something like that. I never thought that he'd sit up there and do something like that. Like, when I got the notification earlier, when I sit up there and I got the notification earlier, y'all, the notification was basically saying, like, did I purchase this? But I didn't sit up there and pay attention to it. You feel me? Like, I didn't even worry about it or nothing like that. He gotta go. He waiting on his daddy to come pick him up right now. He has to go. He gotta go. He gotta go. Like, you don't do that. Like, he got, like, his mouth, he's being hella disrespectful, all of that. So, you gotta go. You gotta go. You have to go. You gotta go. Like, I don't have no more money. Like, I called my bank. My bank sit up there and told me I gotta wait until Monday. They froze my account. They completely froze my account. So can't nobody else use it. But I can't get that. He needs to get away from my door. He not getting back in my house. He not getting back in here. I do not care. Get away from my door, little boy. See, you see how disrespectful he is? That's why my dog's sitting here barking. He's being so disrespectful. Since he's been talking to this little girl, he's been getting hella disrespectful. He's been out the chain disrespectful. I'm about to call the police. I'm giving you a chance and letting your dad come and get you. Get away from my door. Get away from my door.
Now, the single mother in this video is extremely distraught because she just learned that her son took a credit card and spent $2,000, which was supposed to be for their rent money, and spent it on clothes at Shein and Fashion Nova to impress a girl he was looking to try to get with. Now, this mother wound up throwing her son out of the house and was threatening to call the police on him as she was making this video on social media. Now, many of these single mothers, they go to places like social media to vent their feelings because many of these women are overwhelmed by their emotions about the fact that their child has basically betrayed them and broken their trust. And this single mother was so overwhelmed by her feelings that she went and decided to go live because she could not cope with the whole idea that her son went out here and took their rent money and spent it on all of these clothes on Shein and Fashion Nova on this girl. Now, this woman is all upset about her son going out here and participating in this behavior, but she's not really taking a critical look at herself and the irresponsible behavior she participated in. And the irresponsible behavior she participated in was going out here and leaving her bag and her credit card in a place where this boy could easily get access to it. And she also did not set a boundary for this son as related to her personal property. Now, when I was a boy growing up, my mother set a boundary for us where we did not touch her property and we respected her personal space and her personal property. That was something that was instilled in us at an early age, but many of these single mothers, they do not go out here and set that boundary these days. And because they don't set that boundary, and in many cases they treat this boy like a little man, this boy believes he can go and do whatever he pleases with his mother's personal property because his mother has not set a line for him. Now, this whole incident also shows how this woman wasn't very fiscally responsible, and I think Ringo touched on this in his video, because she's saying that this boy took her rent money that was on a credit card or a debit card, and again, basically showing me that she's not very fiscally responsible, because usually most people keep their money for their rent in a separate account, and they keep that money in a place where this boy can't get access to that debit card or that credit card, and that account is just for basic bills, and the credit card is for basic purchases. But this really shows me that this woman isn't very fiscally responsible, and she's basically living paycheck to paycheck, and that happens with a lot of women. And I talk about this in my book, The Woman Crisis, and this woman is definitely looking like a woman in crisis who is basically raising a boy who is on the way to becoming a man in crisis. And this boy who's about to become a man in crisis is acting like this basically because there is no father in the home to teach him proper male life skills. Now, the reason why this boy went out here and spent $2,000 at Shein and Fashion Nova goes right back to the whole principle that the late David Carroll talked about as related to a single mother believing she could raise a boy to become a man. Now, there are only some lessons that a man can teach another man, and one of those lessons that only a man can teach another man is how to have social interactions with women and how to go out here and facilitate relationships with women. Now, growing up around a lot of boys who were raised by single mothers, I have seen this kind of behavior from them whenever they would go out here and try to impress a girl. What they would do, because there is no father there to teach them about women, is they would think they would need money to go out here and have a relationship with a girl. And what they would do to try to impress that girl is tell them about how much money they had, or they would start going out here and looking to go buy them things in the hopes of impressing them. And this is something that teenage boys participate in during the simp phase of adolescence. And in the simp phase of adolescence, many of these boys, because they don't know how to have relationships with girls or how to facilitate relationships with girls. What they do is go out here thinking that if they go out here and buy girls lots of stuff, that would lead to those girls possibly wanting to have a relationship with them. And some of them believe that if they buy enough stuff for this girl, what it's going to do is lead to her dropping the skid mark thong and them being able to go out here and get their taste of the atomic waste as they're having sex with that girl. They believe that this would lead to the possibility of them being able to get sex from that girl, and this is the covert contract that boys who grow up in single mother households believe can be implemented if they go out here and buy girls lots of stuff. I saw a lot of guys go out here and try to do this stuff in the 1980s as I was growing up. And a lot of those guys wound up getting burnt like this guy, and they wound up getting caught up in a situation where if they weren't out here pushing that crack rock to go out here and get that money, they wound up taking their mother's money out of wherever she had it or their grandmother's money, looking to try to impress these girls. And sadly, many of those guys learned the hard way that these girls weren't interested in them, as they found out that either they had a drug dealer boyfriend or they saw them getting their back blown out behind the staircase of the projects that were in the South Bronx. So this boy is just following a dysfunctional paradigm that many boys who grow up in single mother households wind up following, and sadly he wound up spending $2,000 on this girl hoping to impress her. And he thought, oh, if I buy her all of these clothes from Shein and Fashion Nova, she will be so grateful to me that she will take me behind the staircase or take me to her house while her parents are working, drop the skid mark thong that he bought her from Shein or Fashion Nova, and then allow him to get into those guts. That is what this boy thought, because there was no father in the home to give him any sort of guidance, and because there was no father in the home to give him any sort of guidance on what to look for as related to what is a social cue that a girl is interested in you, he wound up buying into the dysfunctional models that many boys grew up with, including myself, from Madison Avenue and Hollywood, which tell you, oh, you need to go out here and get some money to get a girl, when in actuality, if this boy had a true to the game father or a true to the game man who had already learned the hard way, he would tell him, no, son, you don't need to spend a single dollar on this girl. And if this girl is asking you to buy her stuff from the store, then that girl really isn't interested in you, and she's just using you to get stuff. Because from my experience growing up and seeing guys do this, all these guys would do, they would go out here and buy these girls the Gucci bags, they would go out here and buy them the shearling jackets and the leather jackets, and as these guys were buying them this stuff, they were out here checking for other guys, and they were also having other guys blow the back out behind the staircase, on the rooftop, or in that girl's mother's bed as she was going to work. And this guy who was buying the clothes, he was the guy sitting there with an ashy dick and extra dry balls, as she was as other guys were out here looking at her in those clothes and having a good time with this girl while she was wearing this guy's clothes that she bought. And again, a man would be sitting there telling him how these girls have more than one guy, and basically while she had him on her rotation, he was out here, he's the guy out here buying the clothes that make her look good for the other guys, like the weed man, like the guy who drives her around in his Jeep or his BMW, and the guys who go out here and buy her food, this boy doesn't understand that this girl has him as part of her harem, and as part of her harem, what this girl is doing is basically got him out there being another one of the tricks on her payroll. And as these tricks are on her payroll, they're all paying for the possibility of sex and trying to get her attention. And her goal is to make sure that you don't get any, so that she will continue to benefit at your expense. These are the things that a father would sit down and tell his son about female predators like this, because if a girl truly cared about a dude, he wouldn't have to spend any money on her, because Pookie and Ray Ray ain't spending no money on her. And again, the guys that she's really interested in, she's not having them spend any money at all. No, if anything, she's spending money on them. And in many cases, she's taking the money and the stuff that she gets from the other guys, and she's spending it on those guys. Unfortunately, again, this boy doesn't have a father there to teach him how men learn how to socialize with women. And because he doesn't understand how to socialize with women, he's in this simp phase with no guidance whatsoever. And he's blindly following the Madison Avenue and Hollywood ideas. And Madison Avenue and Hollywood want you to follow those ideas because they make money at many naive boys' expense, because they have not been taught and prepared for manhood to understand how to vet girls at an early age. Now, if this boy had gotten guidance from a man, he would know that the minute this girl starts asking you to spend money, that's a red flag, because it's not your job to spend money on a girl from the beginning and buy her stuff. No, if she wants to have a relationship with you, she's supposed to want to get to know you. But once she starts asking you to buy her stuff, that's when you know you're dealing with a gold digger. And that's when you know that this girl isn't interested in you. She's just interested in the stuff she can get from you. So this was the lessons that this young boy wasn't getting as related to his simp phase. Now, boys in the simp phase, this is where they need their father the most. And sadly, this woman kept this boy from his father. And this is why he wound up going out here and spending $2,000, because he did not have a man there to sit there and tell him how it worked with women, how a woman who, if she's attracted to you, you ain't got to spend no money. No, usually if a girl is attracted to you, she isn't going to ask you to spend anything. If anything, she only wants to spend time with you. And in a lot of cases, she just wants to spend time to get to know you based on you. You don't have to go out here and spend any money to try to impress her, because she already had a strong positive first impression on you within the first 5 seconds of looking at you. And within the first 5 seconds of looking at this boy, she would have known whether or not she wanted to get involved with him and have a real relationship. But this 16-year-old boy, again, he's young, green, and naive, and he's thinking, oh, if I spend this $2,000, I'll get that taste of the atomic waste. But the whole thing is, she was stringing him along and trying to get a wardrobe at his expense so that she could look good for Pookie and Ray Ray. And sadly, this dude, again, didn't know this because his mom kept him from his dad. And now she's upset that this boy has spent her rent money. And the reason why he spent the rent money is because he grew up in a simp phase without his father, and he grew up in a simp phase without his father to teach him these lessons of manhood. And because there was no man there to teach him any lessons of manhood, he is now a man in crisis, and that man in crisis is in a situation where he's scared for his life and filled with anxiety because his mother got so upset that she put him out of the house. And when she put him out of the house, she has no idea how much emotional damage she's going to do to this boy, because this putting the boy out of the house, this makes it where this boy winds up with a broken trust, and he winds up with a broken trust as related to women, and he's going to have a hard time having relationships with women at this point, because he's seeing the first woman in his life basically put him out of the house for making a very big mistake, and he's going to be betrayed by the second woman in his life that he's getting involved with when he finds out that she's getting her back blown out by Pookie and Ray Ray, and they're pushing back the same skid mark thongs that he bought for her. So this boy is on his way to serious trauma as related to having relationships with women, because the first two women in his life are putting him through serious trauma. Now, when I look at this whole situation, again, this woman is so upset that she wants to call the police on her son, but calling the police on her son, this is only going to further exacerbate the trauma that this boy is having about a truly fragile period of his time. Yes, he did violate the boundaries as related to his mother. Yes, he did take $2,000 of that money. And yes, he did wind up breaking a lot of rules, but the whole way she's handling things is only going to make things worse, because the traumas she's instilling in her son are going to ensure that he's going to become one of these beta males who will eventually become one of these misogynists, and that's all because she's going to want to threaten to call the police on a son, basically treating him like a criminal because she's projecting her anger at this boy from the father onto him. And now that she's overwhelmed by this boy just going out here and participating in this behavior, what she wants to do is then send him to the father, but it's too little, too late at this point. I mean, this father really needed to be in his son's life in these days of adolescence, and he needed to be providing guidance to his son. He needed to be teaching him about the simp phase of life, and he needed to be teaching him lessons in manhood so that he would not go out here and think he had to go out here and spend money on a girl to impress her. No, that's not what a man goes out here and does. A man does not need to go out here and spend money on a girl, and that is one of the lessons a father could have taught his son at 11, 12, 13, when he was getting curious about girls, because that's the time when a boy needs his father to teach him about how things work as related to relationships with girls, so that he can go out here and look for the right signs as related to when a girl is interested in them. This is something I try to put in my books, like Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. I wrote that book because I see so many young boys like this. They wind up getting into situations where they think that they need to spend this money in this covert contract, a contract this woman will never honor because she never really knew anything about it. And if she did, she was only using this guy because she wanted to see how much stuff she could get out of him. But you can avoid these type of female predators if you have the right information. And again, this mother really isn't helping this boy because she's not solving the problem to why this boy is simping. Again, these teenage boys simp in adolescence when they don't have parents to teach them how things work, and they don't have people to come and talk to about how to approach girls. Since there's nobody there to teach them how to approach a girl and find out if she's really interested, they go by these things that they see in the media, and that's why they'll go out here and try to sneak to get the money, because he didn't have the money to go out here, but he didn't know that that's just a gold digger, and you need to avoid this kind of girl altogether. And again, if he had parents he could go to, he would be able to get that guidance, but he probably didn't have anybody at home because his mother was probably working and his father was away from him. And now that he's in this situation, he's got next to no support. And the sad part is he's not learned where he's made his mistake, because his mother got in her feelings and wanted to hurt the boy for hurting her by breaking the trust. And she wanted to bring the police in because she wanted to punish the boy because she didn't know how to cope with this boy making these mistakes, not understanding that boys break these boundaries because they feel desperate about trying to get social acceptance from their peers, trying to get social acceptance from this girl, and trying to get the favor of this girl, and hoping that they would be able to go get some of that atomic waste that's between her legs in order to get the social currency from their peers. She doesn't really understand how all of these things work, and the way you deal with this situation is you can't really get too upset at the boy. This is a moment where after you find out what he did and process the shock, this is where you start working on the solution, which is two-pronged. And the first part of that solution is that you go out here and after you process your feelings, you talk to this boy about what a girl who truly cares about you, how she behaves. And again, this has to come from another man because men know how to deal with women, and he needs a man to teach him how to approach women, how to have relationships with women, and how to communicate with women, and how to identify gold diggers and female predators. He needs a man to sit down and talk to him about these things because only another man like myself understands how this works, and he needs a man to give him guidance on this situation. Now, after you've given this boy this guidance, then we go into the punishment phase where we're going to find a way to get this $2,000 back. Now, this boy has spent the $2,000, and the way we get the $2,000 back is we're going to put this boy through some pain, and the way we put this boy through some pain is he's got to pay this money back. And the way you make that boy pay that money back is he's going to go get himself a job, and once he gets that job, he's only going to have money for his bus fare, and the rest is going towards paying off that $2,000. And once he has to go through the pain of working and seeing most of his money going into this bill that he's got to pay, he's not going to think about spending money on another one of these females because he's going to see how much work he had to put in and how much money he had to lose. And once he sees how much money he has to lose as related to the situation, what he's going to do is think twice before he goes out here looking to spend money on some Shein and Fashion Nova clothes. Because after he puts in them hours of work part-time at that job, making that $100 or $150 a week, and he's seeing his friends got the new Jordans on, got the new iPhone, got the new gear, and he's sitting up there in some old kicks that are talking, and he's sitting up there in some old clothes because he can't afford to be fly. What'll happen is he's going to think twice before he go out here and spend some money on some other chick, because he's going to think about all the money that he's losing as he's trying to pay back them 2 stacks. Because as he's trying to pay back them 2 stacks and he's dealing with that pain, he's going to think twice before he ever think about spending some money on another female. No, at that point, I'm going to reinforce another lesson about how a boy got to put himself first, because if you put others first, they're going to put you last. And as he's watching this girl who he was trying to impress in the Shein clothes, getting her back blown out by Pookie and Ray Ray, and them having a good time in clothes that he bought, this is where he's going to start learning the hard lesson about why you don't spend your money on these girls out here trying to impress them. No, you put yourself first. You put your money in your savings. You take care of you. And if a girl is really serious about getting with you, she's not going to be talking about your money, because you're going to see that any girl who talks about your money first doesn't have any respect for you. And if she doesn't have any respect for you, then you need to take the most valuable intangible which you've lost out of this whole thing, which is your time. And you need to think twice before you take your precious time and try to spend it trying to impress this girl. These are the hard lessons that a father will go out of his way to teach his son, because he has to teach and prepare his son to be a man. and he's teaching his son hard lessons, because when he gets out in that world, he's teaching him that things cost and time is precious. And these are lessons that a boy would have to learn. If I had to deal with a son like this, you have to set a hard line on that boy. Yes, he got feelings for this girl, but you're trying to teach him a lesson. Okay, you want to spend $2,000? Okay, you got to make that 2 stacks back. And if I don't get that 2 stacks back, guess what? I'm taking you to court, and I'm going to teach you another lesson about how this world works, because this is about teaching this boy how the world works and how painful the world is, because he's in his simp phase. He's thinking only about impressing this girl. His head is in the clouds, and you have to take his head out of the clouds and bring him back to reality. This is a lesson I had to learn many years ago when I was a kid in the simp phase. And again, it was a hard lesson to learn, but it's a lesson every boy has to learn. But this boy, he's not being taught, because his mom is in her feelings. She wants the father to come in right now. But again, that's too little too late, because this lesson, it could have been less painful had there been men involved, because a man would have told him up front when he was talking about, oh, I want to go get this girl something nice. He would have said, nah, you don't need to buy her nothing at all. That's not your wife. You don't have to buy her anything. If she's not married to you, you ain't got to get her nothing. I mean, this is just some girl that you like. And if she likes you, she will want to be with you, and you won't have to buy her a single thing at all. And again, this woman, she's at her wits, at her end, like many of these women are, who said that they could raise a boy to become a man. But when I look at this video, she's not raising a boy to become a man. What I'm looking at right here is a textbook example of a boy on the road to becoming a man in crisis. Now, if you want to learn more about the simp phase and how to break out of the simp phase in adolescence, you can pick up my book, Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. And many mothers have bought this book for their sons, and many fathers have bought this book for their sons to help them learn how things work as related to courting and getting with girls. And this book has helped a lot of young boys break out of the simp paradigm at an early age and help them understand how to really find people, and boys find girls that really are into them. And if you want to learn more about what makes boys like this become men in crisis, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. And if you want to learn more about why mothers like this wind up in over their head, you can pick up my book, The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback right now. And if you want to see me make more men's issues videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today.